Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever felt like you're giving everything in relationships and getting nothing back, this one's for you. Today, we're exposing the subtle signs of emotional manipulation that most people miss, and how breaking free can change the way you love, trust, and show up for yourself. If you're tired of second-guessing your worth or sacrificing your peace just to keep someone else happy, let's dive into the topic. It's time to reclaim your voice and set stronger boundaries. So, if you're ready to grow, heal, and protect your energy, hit that subscribe button. Now you deserve better. There's a powerful truth most people learn too late in life. Not everyone who asks for your time deserves it. Time is the one resource you can never get back. You can make more money, build new relationships, even rebuild your health, but the hours you give away are gone forever. So when someone constantly demands your attention, your presence, your help without appreciation or reciprocity, they're not valuing you. They're using you to fill their own empty space. It may start small, a few favors, late night talks, frequent texts, but soon you realize your time is being hijacked, and worse, your own priorities begin to fade into the background. Suddenly, your goals are paused, your peace is disturbed, and you're constantly drained, not because you're weak, but because you were too generous with your time. It's important to understand that not all requests are genuine. Some people have learned how to disguise manipulation as need. They don't ask for your time to connect, they ask for it to control. They know that the more time they occupy, the less time you have for yourself, and that's the real danger. You become emotionally entangled in someone else's chaos. You start adjusting your routine to fit their patterns. You abandon your plans to be available for their problems. And slowly, you stop being the main character in your own story. It's subtle, it's slow, but it's incredibly damaging. You lose sight of where you are headed. And before long, you don't even remember the version of yourself who had boundaries, dreams, and direction. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they're about saying yes to yourself. When someone asks for your time repeatedly without respecting your space, it's not a compliment, it's an invasion. Real connection respects boundaries. Real love honors independence. The people who truly care about you won't expect you to be constantly available. They'll encourage your solitude, your focus, your personal growth. But those who fear losing control will try to keep you entangled. They'll say you've changed when you start prioritizing yourself. They'll call you selfish when you choose your own peace. But here's the truth. Being unavailable for toxicity isn't selfish. It's survival. There is also a psychological cost to overgiving. When your schedule is filled with obligations to others, your energy becomes fragmented. You begin your day already exhausted, not because you're doing meaningful work, but because you're carrying emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. You're juggling issues, solving problems, showing up for people who wouldn't do the same for you. And deep down, a quiet resentment starts to grow. You start to feel used, overlooked, and empty. That's your soul telling you something is off. That's your intuition reminding you that your time is sacred, and you must guard it like treasure, because that's exactly what it is. People who truly care won't guilt you into giving more than you can. They won't make your availability a test of your love or loyalty. But those who do, they're not seeking connection, they're seeking control. They thrive on access. And when you deny that access, they panic. They accuse you of being distant or cold, but in reality, you're just reclaiming your space. And that's something powerful people do. They recognize when their time is being stolen, and they stop the theft quietly but firmly. You don't owe anyone your constant presence, especially those who only show up when they need something. The most dangerous thing about giving your time too freely is that you eventually forget how to use it for yourself. You forget what it's like to wake up and ask, what do I want today? Instead, your day begins with other people's needs, their schedules, their drama, and your life becomes a series of reactions instead of deliberate choices. But there's nothing noble about self-sacrifice when it empties you. Real strength lies in balance, in being there for others, but not abandoning yourself in the process, in giving support, but not letting your life revolve around someone else's lack of boundaries. It's also worth noticing the patterns. Are the people asking for your time the same ones who vanish when you need support? Are they only present when they want something? Because relationships should be reciprocal. If it's always you giving, always you adjusting, always you sacrificing, then that's not love. That's dependency. And you are not here to carry people through life. You are here to live yours fully. With intention, with joy, with purpose. Anyone who makes you feel guilty for protecting your time is not someone you need around you. Distance isn't cruel. Sometimes it's clarity. Your time is the foundation of your future. Every hour you invest builds or breaks something. So ask yourself, are the people in your life helping you grow, or are they slowing you down? Are they lifting you, or are they leaning on you so hard you can't stand tall? It's okay to be generous, but be wise. Not everyone deserves access to you. Just like not everyone deserves a seat at your table, you are not obligated to be available to people who deplete you. You don't have to feel guilty for choosing yourself. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. The more you protect your time, the more clearly you see who respects it. Some will step back and respect your space. Others will push harder, demand more, and try to make you feel guilty. That's your filter. Let them reveal themselves. When you stop overgiving, you start seeing people's true colors, and that's a gift. Because once you know who drains you, you can build a life that energizes you. One moment of self-awareness can protect years of your peace, and one firm no can change everything. You deserve relationships that don't require exhaustion. You deserve a life where your time is honored, not hoarded. And you deserve to walk away from anyone who doesn't understand that. Because in the end, your time is your power. The most successful, peaceful, and fulfilled people aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who mastered the art of saying no with grace, with strength, and without apology. So stop waiting for others to understand your value. Start showing it to yourself by guarding your time like the priceless treasure it is. There will always be people who feel uncomfortable around your confidence. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your light reminds them of the shadows they're avoiding. When you walk into a room owning your space, speaking with conviction, daring to dream big, they see a reflection of what they never allowed themselves to become. That discomfort isn't your problem to fix, yet many will try to make it yours. They'll tell you you're too much, too loud, too ambitious. But what they really mean is, you don't fit in the small box I'm comfortable with. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking yourself to keep others at ease. You'll dull your sparkle, lower your voice, and apologize for standing out. It begins innocently. Someone laughs at your dream or suggests you take a safer path. They tell you to be realistic, to tone it down, to not expect too much from life. They cloak it as advice, but it's really fear speaking, not yours, theirs. Because your courage threatens their complacency. Your fire disrupts their routine. And instead of being inspired, they feel exposed. So they chip away at your spirit, one comment at a time. And soon, you're not dreaming as boldly. You're second-guessing your intuition. You're questioning the very qualities that once made you proud, all because someone else couldn't handle your brightness. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't made to be agreeable at the cost of authenticity. The world needs people who are unapologetically themselves. People who are not afraid to take up space, speak their truth, and chase goals that make others uncomfortable. But being that person comes with a price. You will be misunderstood. You will be criticized. And yes, some people will walk away. Let them. You are not here to babysit their insecurities. You are here to become everything you were meant to be. And that version of you doesn't ask for permission. It just shows up. When someone tells you to tone it down, what they really want is to maintain control. Your boldness challenges the dynamics they're used to. It makes them question their own choices. Maybe they settled. Maybe they stopped growing. And now they resent your refusal to do the same. But remember this, their limitations do not have to become your boundaries. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to dream louder than the room allows. You are allowed to walk alone if that's what it takes to stay aligned. Your path is yours, and it's not supposed to make everyone else comfortable. People often say things like stay humble or don't forget where you came from, when what they really mean is don't surpass me. Humility is not about hiding your gifts, it's about knowing your worth and not needing to boast about it. But too often, society confuses humility with invisibility. You're expected to shrink in the name of politeness, to downplay your talents so others feel better about theirs. But you don't owe anyone that performance. You can be kind and still be proud. You can be grounded and still be powerful. Confidence is not arrogance, it's alignment with your own truth. One of the most dangerous forms of sabotage comes from people who pretend to support you until you start shining too brightly. They cheer for you until your growth threatens their comfort. Then they start changing. They become distant or subtly discouraging. They plant seeds of doubt in the name of love. Are you sure you want to do that? Don't you think you're taking on too much? It sounds like concern, but it's fear in disguise. And if you're not rooted in your self-worth, you'll believe them, you'll slow down. Not because you can't go further, but because someone else couldn't keep up. You owe it to yourself to listen to your inner voice louder than the outside noise. That voice, the one that whispers in quiet moments, that nudges you toward dreams bigger than your surroundings, is your compass. It knows what you're capable of. It sees the version of you haven't met yet. And it doesn't care who gets uncomfortable in the process of your becoming. That discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's confirmation that you're stepping out of old patterns, the ones that kept you small, safe, and stuck. And growth never happens in comfort zones. You'll notice that the people who have done their own inner work won't be threatened by your evolution. They'll cheer you on even when your light gets blinding, because they've faced their own shadows. They know what it takes to rise, but those who haven't, they'll try to dim you, not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they're afraid to be. Let that be your filter. Surround yourself with people who expand you, not those who restrict you, who celebrate your fire, not those who try to extinguish it. That's how you protect your growth. The truth is, you don't need to be everyone's favorite. You're not here to win approval, you're here to live authentically. And that requires courage. Courage to speak up when it's easier to stay silent. Courage to stand tall when others want you to bow. Courage to keep going even when you're the only one clapping. That kind of bravery isn't loud or showy. It's quiet, steady, rooted, and it transforms everything. Because when you stop asking for permission to be powerful, you inspire others to do the same. You become a mirror for what's possible. So don't apologize for your light, don't shrink for comfort, don't trade your potential for approval. You were meant to grow beyond the limitations people place on you. You were born to lead, to create, to expand. And anyone who asks you to be less is telling you more about themselves than about you. Let them go. Let the discomfort come. Let your growth make noise. Because this world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who stand out, boldly, unapologetically, fully. And that, above all, is your responsibility to never ever dim your light. When someone uses guilt or pressure to get what they want, it's not a connection, it's a transaction masked as care. Emotional manipulation doesn't always show up in explosive arguments or dramatic moments. Often, it hides in quiet expectations and carefully chosen words meant to make you feel responsible for someone else's feelings. After all I've done for you, or I thought you cared, aren't expressions of love, they're tools to control. Over time, these tactics chip away at your self-trust. You stop making decisions based on what's best for you and start acting out of fear of disappointing others. That fear traps you in a cycle of over-explaining, over-apologizing, and over-giving. And the worst part is, you start thinking that's what loyalty looks like. Real relationships don't require performance. They don't demand that you be perfect, predictable, or endlessly available. If someone expects you to constantly rescue them emotionally and labels your boundaries as abandonment, they're not in partnership, they're in control. Emotional manipulators thrive on imbalance. They play the victim when it suits them, often twisting facts or conversations to make you feel like the one who's always wrong. It's a pattern designed to make you doubt your reality. One day you're confident, the next you're confused. You begin questioning whether you're being too harsh, too distant, too selfish, when all you're really doing is trying to protect your peace. Pay close attention to how someone reacts when you say no. That single word is a boundary, and it often reveals more than hours of conversation. If a person respects your no, they respect you. But if they react with guilt trips, silent treatment, or passive-aggressive behavior, they're not seeking connection, they're enforcing control. People like that don't want partnership, they want possession. They want access to your time, energy, and emotions without giving you the same in return. And slowly, you become a version of yourself you barely recognize, exhausted, anxious, constantly on edge. Manipulators are often incredibly charming, especially in the beginning. They'll shower you with attention, support, even love, until you're emotionally invested. Then the dynamic shifts. They begin to test your limits. They question your decisions. They make subtle digs disguised as jokes. And when you push back, they act wounded or offended. Suddenly, you are the one being unreasonable. It's a game of shifting blame. And it keeps you stuck, always trying to prove your good intentions, always defending yourself, always seeking peace with someone who benefits from the chaos they create. There is a difference between support and suffocation. Someone who truly loves you will not expect you to carry their emotional baggage every single day. They won't collapse every time you assert your needs. They won't weaponize your empathy to keep you small. True emotional intimacy requires mutual care, not emotional labor assigned to one person. If someone constantly expects you to manage their moods, reassure their insecurities, or be their therapist, that's not love, it's emotional dependency. And you are not responsible for fixing anyone. You can offer compassion without being consumed. You were not born to be someone's emotional crutch. Your empathy is a gift, but when misused by the wrong people, it becomes a trap. Some individuals are drawn to your kindness, not because they appreciate it, but because they see how they can exploit it. They learn your patterns. They notice that you respond to guilt, that you hesitate before setting boundaries, that you over-explain to avoid being misunderstood. Then they use that knowledge not to connect with you, but to manipulate you. And before you know it, you're in a cycle of emotional giving that never seems to be enough. One of the hardest things to accept is that people who manipulate you emotionally often do it subtly. There's no loud alarm, no dramatic sign, just small, consistent compromises that slowly erode your self-worth. You miss a deadline because you spent hours calming them down. You cancel a plan because they made you feel guilty for choosing your friends. You change your mind about something important because they needed you. Each time it seems small, but over time it adds up to a life shaped more by someone else's needs than your own. That's not compassion, that's control disguised as closeness. It's not selfish to prioritize your own emotional health. In fact, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't be a source of love, joy, or support if you are constantly depleted. And anyone who makes you feel guilty for taking time for yourself does not truly value your well-being. You deserve relationships where you can say, I need space, and be met with respect, not resistance. Where your no is accepted with grace, not punishment. Where you feel safe, not suffocated. And that kind of relationship only happens when both people take responsibility for their own emotional needs. Manipulators will often accuse you of being distant the moment you start setting boundaries. They will say you've changed, that you're no longer as loving or supportive. What they really mean is you've stopped being easy to control. Let that truth set you free. You are not here to be easy for people who expect access without accountability. You are not here to prove your worth to someone who uses emotions as weapons. You are here to be whole, to be grounded, to be at peace. And no one who truly cares for you would ask you to give up your emotional safety for their comfort. The most powerful thing you can do in the face of emotional manipulation is to step back and protect your energy, detach with dignity, walk away without drama. You don't need to argue, to explain, or to justify your boundaries. You just need to honor them. Because every time you protect your peace, you affirm your worth. You remind yourself that love is not meant to drain, it's meant to nourish. And any connection that demands your silence, your sacrifice, or your soul is not love, it's control. And it's not your job to fix those who refuse to fix themselves.